You're a slave to your phone. Your client picks up and you just have to go because you feel the pressure to not lose them as a client or to lose the transaction because you need the money. And when you operate from this place of desperation, what ends up happening is you will do things and sacrifice things that you wouldn't normally sacrifice. When you have your back against the wall and you don't have any visibility into the current state of your income, well, then you're constantly in this hustle mode, which means you feel like every time the phone rings, you got to pick it up and answer it and go. But what that leaves you with is a life that is completely unbalanced. Welcome back to the Be the Standard podcast, where we transform real estate agents and mortgage lenders into $300,000 a year business owners. This podcast is going to be very eye-opening for a lot of you, especially for you real estate agents. I read an article this morning and, well, the news, it seems a little doom and gloom. And even if we take it with a grain of salt, I think it's important. It's important that we look at some of the information and then add some context to this information so that you can see what is coming down the pipeline for you in this marketplace. The Washington Post put out an article, and it talks about how real estate agents are fleeing. They're getting out of this industry. It goes on to talk about that an industry that swelled with newcomers in 2020 and 2021 has recently experienced a harsh slowdown. That you're seeing people leaving the field with no other choice but to downsize. One widely cited analysis predicts that as many as 80% of the country's real estate agents could find a new line of work. Then goes on to talk about how the National Association of Realtors expects this trend to continue, that over the past 12 months, there are over 100,000 fewer licensed realtors in the United States compared to the previous year. I've had a lot of conversations over the past couple weeks with both mortgage lenders and real estate agents about how they have a runway for themselves, that if they're not able to start to make more sales and increase their production, that they're going to have to get out of the industry because they have bills to pay. They have kids they have to feed. They have a life that they have to live. And so many real estate agents and mortgage lenders are considering getting out of the game and going into a different career field, different type of sales. One of the guys I was talking to was like, I think I'm going to get into medical device sales. And while he doesn't have any experience in that, and the only sales experience he has is mostly based in the refi business that is no longer existent right now, he's doing this because he has to. The bills don't stop. Life doesn't stop. The market doesn't care. But let's just say that like these numbers are off. Let's say it's not 80%. Let's say it's just 40%. 40% of real estate agents are getting out of the game. It's not like there's not going to be the same amount of homes that are going to sell every single year. There's not going to be a decline in the number of homes. People are still going to need to move. They're going to have massive life events that happen. Marriage, kids, death, divorce. You're going to have new jobs, new schools. You're going to have people who want to buy their first homes, or maybe people want to upgrade into their dream home. Or you're going to have people who are going to downsize or maybe sell and move out of the country. There's always going to be a reason for people to be in real estate. As I record this, I'm sitting inside my home. People have to have a place to live. And the market that we're in right now is no different than the market that we were in 3 years ago. Inventory is low, demand is high, and the only thing that's holding everybody back is interest rates. The moment those things adjust, well, you're going to see a massive correction to the demand in the marketplace, and people are going to want to go buy homes. And where that delineation line is, like what the interest rates have to be at, we're not too sure. But people are getting more and more comfortable with where they're at, and there's still plenty of transactions that are going on. But one of the things that I want you to get prepared for is that when this business does come, you're going to be in one of two camps. Either you're going to be part of the 40% that got out, or you're going to be part of the 40% that's staying in the game. And even if we use those numbers of 20% getting out and 20% staying in, I want you to understand that the amount of market share that's going to be available to you is going to be astronomical. Because the ones who are actually going to get out of the game are the ones that never really had the habits, the skills, or the processes in place to sustain this. And what I see in most real estate agents is like there's three major problems that they face. The first one is that they don't run this game like a business. They run it like a hustle or like a hobby. It was easy, right? If you had a heartbeat, you could get into this game and you could sell homes. It wasn't difficult. Yeah, you had to deal with maybe multiple offers and getting competitive and writing competitive offers, but the dynamics of the market was that there was a ton of people who wanted to buy, sell, or even potentially invest. And as long as you were doing some type of client outreach and you were just letting people know that you were in the game, well, you could attract people into your life and to help them. But what I saw with a lot of agents is, well, they didn't have any type of profit and loss statement. They didn't structure their business as like an S corp and have payroll put in place. They weren't doing anything to where they had optics into their money about their taxes and maybe where they were going to put their money for marketing and their money for everything else that they were going to do in their business. They weren't writing off their mileage and everything else that comes along with the money that they're spending on marketing and their listings and everything else. And because they weren't running it like a business, well, they weren't putting money aside. And so a lot of the times they were spending money or living commission check to commission check, buying shit that they shouldn't be buying and like brand new cars or homes that they could only afford if they maintained the same level of production. And in that place, they're in not running a business and not seeing what's coming in and what's going out, they set themselves up for failure, which opened up the second one. When you have your back against the wall and you don't have any visibility into the current state of your income, well, then you're constantly in this hustle mode, which means you feel like every time the phone rings, you got to pick it up and answer it and go. But what that leaves you with is a life that is completely unbalanced. On the moments where your significant other has time off because maybe they're working a 9 to 5 and the only time they have off is the weekend, or your kids want to spend time with you on the weekend, and not only are you working every single weekend, but you're not even being efficient with how you work. You're a slave to your phone. Your client picks up and you just have to go because you feel the pressure to not lose them as a client or to lose the transaction because you need the money. And when you operate from this place of desperation, what ends up happening is you will do things and sacrifice things that you wouldn't normally sacrifice, which really starts to open up the third problem. And the third problem is one of the biggest ones. When you don't have a process or a system to do this game, there's no way for you to scale. You're constantly in a place of like, if you don't have a process and you don't have a system, what happens? Well, your clients feel like you aren't serving them at the highest level, because they don't feel like they have clarity or visibility into what's going on. And so they feel maybe mismanaged. They don't feel like they're a priority. And because they don't feel like a priority, the likelihood of a referral or the likelihood of repeat business starts to go down. And then on top of that, when you don't have a process or a system, you become the linchpin. You become the linchpin, which means if you step out of the game, there's no processes or systems working for you. Which means if you don't work, you don't get paid. And if you don't get paid, well, then the stress increases. And so this is what I see a lot of time too, is like we get into this game where it's very reactionary and we don't take the time to build the infrastructure to scale. And if we don't have that in place, well, then when you do get this new surplus of business, because there's going to be all of this attrition of real estate agents getting out, what you're going to be left with is an opportunity that you can't really capitalize on. But what opens up for you, the possibilities of this game are also threefold, right? The first one being is like, if you can run this like a business and you can start to have this vision of what is going on, well, then you can make strategic decisions on what you're doing. Not only can you pay yourself first, making sure that you're getting the income that you need and you're saving money and you're putting money away for taxes, but you can also then take the additional funds and start to apply it to marketing campaigns, or maybe content or a podcast to help you get your name out there and get in front of people. Like this game of running it like a business means you're going to have to be in sales, operations, marketing, fulfillment. Like these are the four things that you're going to have to learn how to do. Sales being conversations between clients, being able to move them and lead them. Marketing, you being constantly top of mind awareness through social media, podcasts, newsletters, client gifts, all of these things. The way that you market yourself becomes critical, which then allows you to fulfill at a higher level. Some of the best things that I ever did for my business that took me from low six figures to all the way up to a 7-figure real estate business was me creating content consistently. It allowed me to stay top of mind with everybody. I didn't have to have a conversation about real estate every time I saw somebody to make sure that they knew that I was still in the industry. They would just see it. And for those that weren't on social media, well, then I had other channels of communicating with them so that they made sure that they knew that I was still in the game. What this allows you to do is constantly be marketing 24/7. When you're asleep, you're marketing. When you're on vacation, you're marketing. When you're in a closing, you're marketing. Because you have the processes and systems in place. The second part is your ability to delegate. Like you need to build a SEAL team, like a strategic, like special forces team to help you scale your business. You don't need a whole big team. All you really need is a transaction manager, like an elite, really good transaction manager that you pay well, incentivizing them to do well in the transactions. And if they do, they get a paycheck. Like if you just have that, they can help you scale your business to a level that you never thought could be possible. My biggest year is 52 transactions, 35 million in volume, $800,000 in GCI. Or my biggest year, right? 52 transactions. I think it was like 37 million in volume, $1 million in GCI. It was basically just me and a transaction manager. But the other thing that you could bring on, right? You could have a buyer's agent that could help you, or maybe just a showing agent. Just somebody who can help you so that on the weekends when you don't have the capacity to maybe show all of your clients' homes because you have so many leads coming in, you know that you've hired somebody and you've incentivized them to do a good job. And because you have this small team of maybe 3 to 4 people, you can manage them, take care of them, and you can scale your business to a place that you couldn't even imagine. And you have to understand the value of that is that when you provide this high level of service for your clients, like they get the showings that they need and they get the service that they need, then they get you to help do the important stuff of writing the contract, negotiation, you're the main point of contact. What that allows your client to feel like is they have a team that is specially designed just for them. It's a value proposition for them. And because they feel like they got the highest level of service, well then they become your biggest word of mouth marketing team. You don't need a whole lot of people. You could get junior agents to come on and you could pay them to not only get the experience of showing homes and kind of going through the process, but you can also teach them how to write the offers. So not only are you paying them, but you're giving them knowledge. I mean, you become a massive resource and asset to them, which means they want to do a great job for you. And the third thing that opens up, one of the biggest things, is it's just your ability to create processes and systems. So that every time you go through a buyer's consultation and a buyer's process, or every time you take a seller through the selling process, it's duplicatable, it's repeatable, and that allows you to get the same results. I didn't have to prep for buyer's consults after I mastered my buyer's consultation process. I could get a phone call and in 30 minutes I could be at their house or in my office having a conversation about what they wanted to do and the next steps. And what's critical about this process is once you've written it and you've owned it and you've internalized it, you can become so good at this game that no matter where you're at, you could do it. But since you have a process and you control your process, what that allows your clients to feel like is you're a professional. You got to understand the majority of people look at real estate agents just below car salesmen or just above, either way. Because the majority of them, all they do is open doors, shitty contract creation, poor communication, and then they collect a paycheck. And then they wonder why people don't like us. Well, it's because you didn't provide this level of service that equates to 2.8% or 3.2% or whatever you're getting paid. You have to over-deliver, under-promise, over-deliver. And that's the name of the game. Once you have these processes and systems and then you run them, well, then you can see where they break down and you can make corrections. But if you're not doing this and you're just flying by the seat of your pants, well, then you don't know what works and what doesn't work. But your ability to document these things, have a standard operating procedure, something that we used in the military that was super helpful, like a checklist, where you can see where things break down and you can make adjustments. But if you can have this in place, then when you step out of the business and somebody else is running it for you, it's very clear on what they're going to do because they have a checklist of what has to happen. It's documented, it's clear, and it's duplicatable. And so your ability to have this in place for yourself allows you to make sure that you are servicing your clients at the highest level, not missing anything, and that if you have to step out of the game and go on vacation or spend time with your family, that you know the person who's coming in, as long as you've trained them well and they have the information, they're going to be able to run with it. But you have to be able to bridge this gap from these problems that you're facing to this possibility of what your business could be like. I want you to imagine your business doubles. Would you be ready? If your clients doubled right now, would you be ready? For some of you, you have no clients, so doubling it would be 0. But for some of you, if you have 20 clients and we're going to go to 40, would you be ready to scale like that? The answer is probably no. And I would have you consider that going from where you're at to where you need to go is not like these massive adjustments. It's a lot of it's up here. It's the way that you think. And so you have to understand these principles. You have to adopt these principles in order for you to make that adjustment and to make that leap from where you're at to where you want to go. The first one is you have to have like this CEO mentality. You have to be dangerous in everything. You have to know how to sell, how to market, how to do contracts. You have to know all of it. Because if you don't understand the process to the most minute detail, then how do you know that the people that you bring on to do it for you, that you're delegating to, are doing it correctly? This is why you have to spend time in the trenches. And if there's something you don't understand, then you need to go spend time in it and master it, document the process, and then be able to teach it. The CEO mentality is like you're constantly coaching, you're constantly growing your business, but you're constantly in a place where you understand everything that's going on. And at the same time, because you understand everything that's going on and you've documented it, you can delegate it and let it go. The second thing that has to open up for you is like you have to systematize to scale. It's the only way that this is going to work. If you don't have processes and they're not documented, there's no way that you're going to be able to scale. You're constantly going to be living in this cycle of $150,000 a year, feeling like you're about to lose all your hair. No, that's not why this happened. This was a decision. And that was a bad joke. But you're going to be in a place where like you're going to be like just spending so much time just like chasing clients, running around, eating snacks in your car. Like I ate so many goldfish in my Subaru, shotgunning like Celsius, just trying to get through the day, starting at 7 a.m., finishing at 7 p.m., coming home. Obviously my wife's frustrated because she didn't get to see me all day. But then there was this other place where like once I was able to systematize these things and I would only do showings at certain times and I would have boundaries when I wouldn't work past 6 p.m. and I wouldn't work on Sundays. What happened was my clients started to respect it because they knew that I had a process and system in place. If you don't have boundaries and if you don't have a process, your clients will walk all over you. They will, and they won't respect you and you won't understand why. But the moment that you can communicate these boundaries and you can demonstrate that you have a process, now you flip the power dynamic and like, yes, you're working for them, but at the same time, they're the ones who wanted to partner with you. And they do it because they see you and the potential that you have and the process and the systems that you have, and they feel like that creates certainty and security in you. And the last piece of this, right, is like you have to understand how to profitize your processes. When you look at the process and the systems you make, you have to understand like, how is this going to lead to more profits in my business? How is this going to lead into more profits in my relationships? Is what I'm doing here going to deepen the relationship I have with these individuals, providing value? Or is what I'm going to do over here allow me to work smarter and not harder and make more money and work less? This is the lens that you have to look at everything through. You have to profitize your processes. And if you can do that, well, then you will optimize it at the same time. And in that place, you're starting to create the foundation for you to scale and provide a high level of service. Now listen, for some of you, you have some of these in place, but to go from 150 to 300, there's just a few minor tweaks you're going to have to make. And a lot of that is not as big as you think it's going to be. A lot of that is, adjusting some things in your mind, teaching you how to let go of some things, asking you like, what are the things that you have in place that no longer serve you? And so it's our ability to really do a deep dive into your business. And we can do this one of 3 ways. Number one, you can go to becomethestandard.live and there's a video there. Go watch, right? Just watch the video, see if it resonates with you. If it does, great. There's going to be an application. You can fill that out and we can have a conversation about that. The second one is going to be one-on-one coaching. You can go to the application and you can fill that out. And again, we can have a conversation about your business specifically. We can tailor the coaching program and the outcome to what you want to accomplish. And then lastly, you can just go follow me on social media, Sergio.Nazaro. And you can just get free content, things that I'm putting out every single day. Constantly just talking about my business and my life, how to go from making nothing to making $300,000 a year or more. Trust me, I've been there. I had no sales and no marketing experience when I got into this game. I figured some things out along the way in my career. And being able to put these things into play is not as hard as you think it might be. Yeah, it's overwhelming, but that's where I come in. We get to peel back all the bullshit, all the things that you don't need to worry about. And what we can do is put together a plan that's specifically designed to where you're at in your business and where you want to go. So listen, Be the Standard is all about transforming you from the woman and the man that you are today to the one you want to become. And if you're interested in any of this, check me out on social or check out my website, and we'll go from there. Until next time, take care.